is write an equation for the table. So in order to write the equation, you need to know two things. You need to know the slope. So slope is equal to change in y over the change in x. So if I go down the table, I'm adding 30. And on the x side, what am I adding? Adding 10. So your slope is 30 divided by 10, which is 3. It's always y divided by x. So that's what you type in the first box. It's 3. To find your y-intercept, we are going to use the equation y equals mx plus b. So if I know that the slope is 3, I'm going to choose a point. And I think it's easier to just use the first point. So in that first point, y equals 40 and x equals 10. So let's solve this equation for b. So 40 equals 3 times 10 plus b. And what is 3 times 10? 3 times 10 is 30. So 40 equals 30 plus b. Subtract 30 from both sides. And what do you get for b? What is 40 minus 30? 10. So that is what you should type in this box here. So y equals 3x plus 10 is your equation for the table. For number 2, it is asking us, what does the y-intercept represent? So the y-intercept represents the weight of the empty jar. So it says, so we're looking for where it says the empty jar weighs 10 grams. That's what we figured out. When we said B was 10, that means that the weight of the empty jar is 10 grams. The slope represents the weight of every marble. We said the slope was 3, so the weight of each marble is 3 grams. That's what you would select. For part 3, you're going to hit this table button, and we need to insert a 2 columns and 5 rows. So hit that button so you can insert your table. So in the first column, you're going to write weight. Type in weight of jar in grams. And in the second column is the number of marbles. So what you're doing is reversing the table. That's how you do an inverse table. So everything in this column is going to come first now. So in that column, go ahead and type in the 40, 70, 100, and 130. And for your Y column is 10, 20, 40, 10, 20, 30, and 40. For questions 4 and 5, you have to find the inverse. So when you find the inverse, I have y equals 1/4 x plus 2. So step number 1 is switch your x and y. So x equals 1/4 y plus 2. Now let's go ahead and clear out our fraction. And in order to clear out the fraction, you want to multiply by your denominator, which in this example which is a 4. So multiply everything by 4. So everything is multiplied by 4. So when you do that, it becomes 4x equals y plus 8. Because 4 times x is 4x. When you multiply by the denominator, it just clears out the denominator. So this becomes 1y, and then 4 times 2 is 8. So your last step is to subtract the 8 from both sides. So my inverse is 4x minus 8. That's what you would type in right there. Because this is my inverse. My inverse, f negative 1 of x, is 4x minus 8. But we only want you to type in the 4x minus 8. For number 5, use your inverse function. Because this has this little -1, that means use your inverse function, substitute in a 2. So use your calculators to find what you get when you substitute in a 2. And whatever you get, that is your answer to number 5. So go ahead and do that. And yes, you get 0, so don't think you're wrong. 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 minus 8 is 0. So that is your answer to number 5. For question number 6, are they inverses? Well, you actually have to do number 7 before you can do number 6. So we're going to verify it using compositions. So I'm going to take this 1/2 x plus 6, substitute it in. So I have 2 times x minus 12. And then inside of that parentheses, you have 1/2 x plus 6. So go ahead, use your calculators. Multiply your parentheses by 2. So half of 2 is 1. And 2 times 6 is 12. And when you combine your like terms, you get 1x. So you need to write this, take a picture, and upload this work for number 7. And what is going to be your answer to number 6? Are you going to say inverses or not inverses? Inverses, because it did equal x. So you need to copy this down, take a picture, and upload this work for number 7. That is your proof as to why they are inverses. For question number 8, it says, how can you determine if a graph represents a function? For it to represent a function, it has to pass the vertical line test. So vertical line test is the test that we use to determine if a graph is a function. Function notation is just f of x. Inverse function notation is f negative 1 of x. When given a graph of a function, in order to find the inverse, choose key points and then switch x and y to plot your new points. To find the inverse algebraically, you switch x and y and solve for y. And then where it says, how can you determine if a function is one-to-one? That one you have to do a horizontal line test. So I'll give you a second to drag and drop those in the right position. Okay, so which ones are one-to-one? So in order for it to be one-to-one, you can't have repeats on either side. So do I have any repeats on this side? So this one, you see how we have a 2, a 2, a 3, a 3, a 4, and a 4? So because I have repeats over here, this is automatically not one-to-one. And I don't know if your answers are in the same order. It could be scrambled, so you have to pay attention as I'm going through them. All right, for the second one here, notice that the y values are the same. So you can't have repeats in x or y. So this is also not one-to-one. This graph would fail the horizontal line test. So this fails a horizontal line test. If I draw a horizontal line, it's not going to pass it. So that's not one-to-one. For this map, 4 is paired with 3 different y values. That is not one-to-one. For this table here, this looks like the only one that would be one-to-one. So when I'm looking at this table, let me make sure all of these are different and all of these numbers are different. And that is Unit 3. Unit 4 is open if you want to do it early. If not, you can wait till tomorrow during class and we will go through it together again at the end. So that's Unit 3. So go ahead and make sure you write a little summary of these questions, put it in your notes, and put it to the side for the final exam.